I'm sure you've seen a football game and the camera shot goes over to the sideline, and there you see the head coach or the offensive coordinator put the game sheet above their face as they talk into their microphone, and they're, talking into it to the headset, to the quarterback, guarding the next play call like it's the nuclear code from the president. They don't want you to see it. It's not something they want the cameras to see. We have no right as fans to see what it is that they're communicating. We don't have the clearance for the conversation. There's a lot of conversations I would love to be in on, and I'm sure there's many that you would like to hear as well, but we simply don't have clearance for it. And that's what makes John chapter 12 and other passages in the Bible, frankly, so interesting and compelling, is when we are welcomed into the conversation of the Trinity. One of those passages is John chapter 12, and when Jesus is on his way to the cross, and we see this conversation, we hear it between Jesus and the Father. And what Jesus says as he is coming to the encroaching shadow of Calvary, he's getting ready to die. What is on his mind? And he says, as his soul is greatly troubled, he says, "Father, glorify your name." That's Christ's burden. Amidst the pressing wrath that is coming upon him, amidst the cross that is looming before him, that great anguish of his soul, what is it that Jesus is motivated by? The glory of God. What is it that compels him? It's the glory of God. He had Calvary in his view, but the glory of God was on his heart. That's what he was pursuing. And this is tremendously instructive for us because we know that is what motivated Calvary. But there's more in the text, actually. We see this conversation continues. The Father responds to Jesus' statement with like a thunderclap from heaven. And he says, "I have glorified it, and I will glorify it again." As the Father responds to Jesus, he says, "I have glorified my name, and I will glorify it." That is, on the cross, the Father will glorify it. Through the wrath-bearing of Jesus, the atoning work of Christ, he will glorify his name as he displays his mercy and his justice, his love and his holiness, his wrath and his kindness. All of those attributes in a harmonious display of God's perfections playing like a symphony showing his glory. And we see that there. So what should be our response to this? If it is Christ's motivation to glorify God and the Father's unceasing burden to glorify God, what should be the Christian's burden? Well, friends, it should be that we glorify God. And how do we glorify God? By doing all that he commands us to do in his word. By obeying the word of God. By esteeming the worth and work of Jesus. By finding ourselves wrapped up, motivated by, compelled by, convicted to the glory of God. Is that your burden today? As we think like Christ and we pursue Christ's likeness, we find that must be our burden. I pray that John 12 serves to motivate you to that end, this divine imperative, that Christ's burden, God's burden, would be our burden. Have a great day.